asking about an indicative price. We had asked them for a bunch of information on their time of day, things like that. We had originally told them indicative price will depend on quantity and timing that they're looking to secure. I think to progress, we need to give them some sort of range of possible pricing based on kind of a set of assumptions that's reasonable. To do that, though, I would like to understand how that would fit within the structure of what they would be incurring under the rules for the DPPA that have been proposed. So if they're paying a wholesale price plus a transmission charge and fees and things like that, I don't know how much detail we can get around what those actual amounts are, but I just wanted to figure out with you guys, what should our approach be here? We can't just wait forever to get all the detail in the world. I would like to have some sort of sense, though, before we give them a range that it could potentially be attractive to them relative to what their other options are right now. So how do you recommend we proceed? Maybe Nia and C, you could go first.
Yeah, Frank. So I understand that currently Samsung buying power from EVN, and that is not they are not participating in the wholesale market yet because at the moment it's not allowed to participate in wholesale market yet. It's still in a kind of the roadmap. I think previously they set the roadmap from 2015 to 2025 to complete the competitive wholesale market, but there's been some delay. So I think the market is not ready yet for the consumer to directly participate in the wholesale market yet at this moment. So what I understand is that Samsung is now buying the electricity through EVN based on the fixed return rate. The fixed return rate typically MOIT announce the rate annually. How much the rate will be applied for manufacturing sector, for the normal residential consumption. So there are several categories of the tariff applied for the different sectors. So in case of Samsung, they are buying the power from EVN via the fixed tariff, the fixed rate for the manufacturing sector. And previously, I shared some information about the current rate for manufacturing sector, and I think Jason made some quick calculation based on that. The rate based on the different hour in a day. For example, they have the different rate for the peak hours. Normally, the peak hour may be from, for example, I don't remember exactly, maybe from 9 a.m. to 12 a.m. To 12 p.m. And peak evening time from maybe 5 or 6 p.m. to 9 or 10 p.m., something like that. So at the peak hour, the rate will be higher, and the normal hour, the rate will be lower. And the off-peak hour, maybe the midnight until the early morning, the rate is lowest. So it very much depends on how Samsung allocate the manufacturing shift. If they want to save the electricity, they may allocate more working shift in the night time, and maybe less in the peak time. For example, I don't know. So that's why we want to explore further information from Samsung. They need to say how they what is the rate structure they pay to EVN, and how they arrange the shift, production shift every day. Such kind of thing, I think we need to have some kind of more detailed discussion to understand the structure, how they are paying to EVN, how much they are paying, for example, in order to accurately come up with a kind of proposal. But as you said that Samsung is trying to push it for some kind of indicative offer. So I think to keep them engaged, we need to give something. so that they will continue to give us the information and continue the discussion. So I think we may consider to give them a kind of range based on our previous financial modeling. Maybe something like 8 to 8.5 or something, if you think that is acceptable. And there are some uncertainty about the transmission charges. I said that in the new draft DPPA decree prepared by MOIT, they introduced a new transmission charges that will include the transmission fee, the distribution fee, the market operator fee, some other fee I don't remember, but in the annex of the document they listed several kind of fee that we need to consider. So that means that if Samsung participate in the DPPA, what they are paying to EVN will be different from what they are paying right now. Right now they are paying based on the fixed retail fee. That retail fee includes everything, including all the transmission fee, distribution fee, whatever. So it's all inclusive. But if they participate in the market, DPPA market, and they have to be part of the wholesale market, they will have to pay based on the spot price of the wholesale market and plus the transmission fee. The transmission fee to be announced by MOIT, maybe annually, or we don't know yet. So that kind of fee we will be adding to the price that we are going to sell to Samsung, for example. So I think we need to agree on the principle how we will approach Samsung, whether we want to open book everything transparent and agree on a fixed return for the investor, or we just give them a blind offer. They don't need to go into detail. We just give them, okay, we are ready to sell to you at a certain tariff, for example, 8 cents or 8.5 cents. And they can plug it in their model, run it, and see whether they can make any benefit from that tariff compared to what they are paying to EVN, or compared to what they are going to negotiate with other investor, for example. So I think at this moment we don't have the detail to make a very detailed offer, but I think we need to agree on some kind of principles so we can share some information to them to keep them engaged in our discussion.
Nia, is there a wholesale market today that exists, or I wasn't aware that there was a wholesale market. So there's no wholesale market today, is my understanding. We can't go and see what the wholesale prices are today. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think I need to update again because some time ago they still call it a pilot wholesale market. A pilot wholesale market means that maybe a limited number of participants in the market, mainly EVN power plant. They want to see how the market will be operating for a certain time before they make it official. So I need to get more update from EVN or from the people how it's going right now. But I think so far all the renewable like solar and wind, nobody participate in the market because we have the tariff policy. So nobody participate in the market. But going forward, there will be no more feed-in tariff. So there is a high possibility that all the renewable project will be part of the market.
Yeah. Okay. So the only thing we could really do is look at what they're paying today. We don't know what the wholesale market's going to look like, the pricing in the wholesale market, the allocation of transmission fees. We don't know any of that. We could try to look and see what they're paying today and see how we compare to that. If we're higher than what they're paying today, then they may still be willing to do that to get green electrons, but it gets more challenging. Do we have any sense on a weighted average basis if what they're paying today? I don't recall what numbers you sent through before.
Maybe I think Jason made some calculation. Can you show the spreadsheet?
Yeah. So can you see my?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's some tariff rate depending on the hour. I make some broad assumption here. The last time.
Okay.
So depending on when they are consuming the power, there's different tariff rate, and I've kind of make some calculations to have a better cost of 82 cents. But this doesn't include all the transmission and market charges that is going to come. Sorry, this is what I think they're paying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Including all the necessary charges. So whatever we're going to propose, assuming that we're keeping at least 82 cents, it has to be about 75 cents or 70 cents, whatever, because there's still a margin for them to pay.
Yeah. Okay. How did you allocate the consumption during the different time periods? Did you assume is evenly weighted through all time?
So at that time when I do this, basically it was what I plucked from the air reasonably. I assume that the peak hour where they will have most consumption is 11:30 to 5 normal office working hours, and then the rest are just kind of allocation. So I assume that they're sleeping at night. That's why 5%. But this can actually be done properly now. Samsung gave this spreadsheet, and they go by the number of days and the hours. So basically, with this spreadsheet, we can actually calculate it properly now.
Okay, so we can update what we understand their consumption to be on a daily basis, average throughout the year, and come up with what we believe the
price that they're paying.
Their estimated weighted average tariff is.
Correct. So we could use the spreadsheet and kind of get through this table.
Okay.
And make a cost calculation. So basically, that's the cost that they're paying right now, assuming, and then we could then whatever that we're proposing, we could always make an assumption to say that look, it will be a full pass through of all the market fees. So this doesn't include that, and whatever fees that's being implemented by EVN or MOIT eventually, Samsung has to fork it out, and that changes annually.
So I think all we have to do in this first go round is show them something that looks like it may be equivalent or less than
whatever they are paying right now.
What they're paying right now, right? So if you can update what we think they're paying right now based on their actual profile of consumption, I guess that's only at one end of their plants. Is that correct? But it's representative. Yeah. That's fine. Then if we assume, then if we can look at, and let's say it's 8.2 US cents, if we can then look at our numbers and say that we reasonably believe that we could offer between 7.5 and 8.2, something like that, then at least that continues the discussion. And whether or not that's attractive to them will depend on what the transmission fees are going to be, how things are structured in the future. But at least showing them a number that conceptually could be lower than what they're paying today should keep them in the discussion, I would think.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
So maybe I can't really understand what all this line thing. Maybe it's a production line. If you can clarify all these things and then kind of compile it in the information like that, and then we can do the calculation.
Okay.
So they go by per hour, which means that I think from 12 midnight to 6 you can sum this out, and then that gives you a number. But then this goes by day, so there's a bit of a number crunching to do.
I think the line here is maybe the
Production
power line.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe something to check.
Yeah.
Can we go back to your email, Jason? The rates, what we call normal hours. What are normal hours?
11:30 to 5 p.m.
11:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. And those normal hours are 6.8 cents.
Yeah.
Peak hours are when?
9:30 to 11:30 and 5 to 8.
Okay.
Okay.
And it's considerably more expensive then. Do we know of course, we'll have seasonal variation for the wind, and in the end, we're going to have the discussion with them on how their renewable recording and counting the benefit is done within Samsung. So, do we have to time match, for instance, with them that they're acquiring kilowatt hours and can only count them when they're consuming actual electricity during that same period? Or can we get an aggregate basis that they're buying X amount for us on the year and they have X amount of consumption and they don't have to time match when they're actually getting power, when our project set is actually generating power and when they're using power? That would be the best. But that would be a discussion for a future step. I think we would have to go through. Seasonal is going to be, if they want to time match, then seasonal introduces another complication that can really help address. So hopefully it's just, if they acquire X amount of kilowatt hours for us on the year and they consume X amount of kilowatt hours during the year, then that's the only matching we have to do for them to take credit for utilizing renewable energy. Let's see. But do we know on a daily basis what's our wind generation look like on a daily basis? Does it blow mostly at night? So does it blow do most of the kilowatt hours come out during the peak period, late afternoon, evening?
I think we could check what is what the data is on the MedMast. Yeah. We will ask. We can ask Insight to provide us with some of them.
Yeah, I think it would be good to ask Wind Insight for one of the sites. It doesn't even have to be both. What a typical or an average daily distribution is, and if we're generating more kilowatt hours during the peak period, which is the case in Australia, for instance, we get a tremendous benefit because the wind blows at night, and that's when the peak hours are for consumption in Australia. So the weighted average daily numbers don't mean so much. The actual time of generation makes a big difference in Australia. It would just be good to understand here how the wind matches up against the peak hours. We don't necessarily have to discuss that with Samsung just yet, but it'd be good to understand. And if we can look at what their total consumption is, I think for all their facilities, they told us if we can just kind of match up with how many megawatts that would be for us on a total generation basis and just kind of use that as our working assumption for scale that we're looking at for generating our indicative tariffs. Okay.
Yeah, so I think first step we can just use this particular plant and do something first.
Yeah.
And then they told us that they are still trying to get more data for us on the hourly consumption, but we don't need to wait for that first. Eventually, when in parallel, we should ask Wind Insight on the hourly
generation. Yeah.
Generation, and then once we get everything in, then we could do a proper calculation. But at this point in time, I think for first discussion, we just need to tabulate the data that they gave us, and then fit it into this table and see what the blended cost is to give us an indication.
Yep. That sounds good. Okay. And whether or not we depending on the actual quantity, depending what pricing we get on POP, the range we give right now, we're not going to be held to. It can't be absurd. We should be generous, allow ourselves as much upside as possible up to what we think their blended rate is right now. And then the details will be worked out in due course.
Yeah. Okay. I think the last time we calculated was 7.5 to 8 cents for the DPPA project. So let's see what the blended cost is first.
Right.
And then we can. Right. So I think after we calculate that, we can come on the discussion again
Alright.
and see what range we want to offer
Okay.
Samsung for the first discussion.
Yep. Okay, that sounds good. And Nia, in your email, you said something interesting. You said that, if I recall correctly, that it's possible that the DPPA process will be approved in kind of a May timeframe, and maybe that would be done to appease both people that want access to market as well as the foreign direct investors. So in essence, it would be a path to market that doesn't exist right now because you can't get a PPA through EVN. Is my understanding correct that actually this DPPA process may get done before, get approved and put in place before the execution implementation rules for PDPA are approved?
Yeah, so I think the intention from the government is that they are not certain about when the new tariff will be given for wind and solar, and DPPA will be the solution to fill the gap. So they wanted to issue the DPPA approval in May. So that's what I heard from the people. That may delay for maybe 1 or 2 months. That's a normal. But they wanted to approve it as soon as possible. So we can say that it can be maybe in a couple months from now. And in order to participate in the DPPA, the project should be listed in the implementation plan. So that means that if we want to be part of the DPPA, our project need to be in the PDPA before you can start any construction. So I think that is our idea, that once we engage Samsung, we can quickly work with the government and bring our project into the PDPA quickly.
Yeah, that sounds good. The indicative tariff that we're going to give them would effectively be our contract for difference strike price, I guess. We would, when DPPA is implemented, we would still actually be selling to EVN at some sort of whatever the wholesale rate is. Is that correct? But there would be a settlement at the contract for difference price with them.
Yeah,
So
I think it's correct.
The tariff we're giving them right now is just going to be effectively our contract for difference price that we would agree with them. And then whatever happens with the wholesale market, up, down, is netted out.
So I think the tariff we are going to discuss in the contract for difference with Samsung is the total revenue that we are going to get either from Samsung or from EVN. So that is the total amount we are going to receive from both of them. So we are going to get paid by EVN maybe up to 4, 5, 6 cents, we don't know, and the gap will be paid by Samsung.
Right.
And the total will be up to 8 or 8.5 or whatever amount we agree with them.
Right. Okay, sounds good. Let's